It's raining outside. I love it. I love sunshine, but I most especially like rain because rain is cleansing in a different way. And it also is my day off, so I get to stay home and just chill for like most of today. Anyhow, I was going to talk about, I'm revisiting a topic. I've made a video on this before, but I think everything gets lost in the mass of information that we are all trying to outlet. So, going back to, oh, how do I say this? Okay, so your mind, it's a powerful instrument for your use and your disposal. Um, we had a hurricane warning. I just made a video on this, and my partner was looking for signs like, oh, the bird like did that, so I think for sure we're gonna get a hurricane. And then he'd be like, oh, look at that. And then I was like, hey man, are you like looking for something to validate like the fact that we may or may not get a hurricane, or are you just allowing things to come to you? There's a difference, yeah. And I feel like this can be applicable to how you approach life. So, in another video, I said something about, you used to play that game like Punch Bug. Obviously, when you're honing in on a particular like thing, your scope of vision will, like a microscope, it'll like hone in onto like one or two, that particular subject, and you'll constantly be seeing this over and over again. But if you get out of this like narrow perspective and you just kind of allow everything to just be, and you can get like a clear, wider scope of vision, life will show you things, and you won't be looking for it. It'll just be there, for you to interpret and decipher as you will. So, if you were to look at your life, like, are you doing this with your microscope and just doing like that? Or are you living your life like this? Seriously, because it makes a big difference. Like, if you are honing in, using your mental powers, using your, like, ability to, how do I say? There's a word for it. If you're using your ability to, how do I say, concentrate, you're using your ability to concentrate on this, you are just going to keep seeing this. So a lot of people, they keep complaining about like money. It's because you're just focusing on that. You're just focusing on like lack. Like, oh, I don't have money. I don't have money. I don't have money. I have bills. You keep focusing on that, right? But you never see like how abundant it is if you just were to like remove yourself from this really, really pinhole of a viewing point. You know what I mean? And this can be applicable to anything. It could be your health. It could be relationships. It could be your living circumstances. It it ultimately determines your attitude. Like if you're gonna look like this, of course, like a lot of people are just like complaining about very minor things and details, and they're kind of stuck and fixated on seeing those things. But if you were to like open it up, you'd be like, hey, I can change my attitude, my perspective, because it's a whole lot wider. You know what I mean? And then you can really see clearly like what is available for you, and how abundant everything is, and how resourceful everything and everyone is, if you just get out of your little freaking like microscopic scope of vision. You know what I mean? Um, so yeah, so he was like looking for things to validate the whole hurricane thing. And I don't know, man. I was like, I don't believe it. Like, I'm gonna call it now. 80%. This is going to be just like rain and mild to moderate wind, and then it's gonna just breeze on through. Seriously. It gets so frustrating because, even if you have the insights and you can see clearly, like, how do you convince someone who's looking through something like this, right? Like, hey man, hey, there's so much more to be focusing on. And, they're so fixated on this type of viewing scope that they just can't hear you. Like, your words fall on deaf ears, or you get attacked because it's like you're disturbing them from seeing things from a wider scope or a different angle. It's really interesting. I don't understand. And I still have like conflict about like when to speak up and when to just retract and be silent, because like I feel like if the person is receptive to the information, by all means speak. But if somebody is not receptive, then I just feel like it's like waste of breath. Like, it's not even worthwhile for me to even say anything. But then that's the thing, like, you distributing certain information could be that turning point for someone to actually like wake up. I don't know. I'm just talking to talk. But another thing, I did a video on this, two people in the same car having completely different experiences based on your scope of vision. Where's your attention going? Where's your energy being invested? So like for me, I predominantly want peace. I do. I want peace. I want happiness. I want calmness. I want balance and love, and I want collaboration versus conflict. I want to get along with people, harmony and diversity. My partner is still, well, let's just be honest here. He's not on that train. He is on another train. And on occasion, we get together and collaborate, but it's not often. And so, like, we're in the car, and his attention is going towards aggressive drivers. My attention is going towards the mountains, the sky, the elements, the horse running in the fields. I'm like totally not tuned in. And I often wonder, like, I am by no means an expert in any subject matter, but I do have a friend that's a Christian, and he keeps talking about the rapture, about how like so many human beings are going to be like allowed to ascend to a higher dimension or plane of existence that should be more heavenly. I suppose, I'm assuming that's what he means by this rapture. I mean, what does that mean? Like, how do you decipher that? Do you think it's maybe your point of view, your level of consciousness? Are you just seeing this? Are you embracing the wholeness of it and then seeing like creation in its perfection? I don't know. I mean, there's so many ways to decipher one thing, right? And then everybody spends so much time fighting over their perspective or their perception instead of just saying, hey man, thanks for helping me see something differently. However, this is how I feel. And then, exchange the information, put it together, collaborate, get a wider, like, perception of what it is and moving forward with that. Like, hello, I don't have time to fight with people. I just don't. Really, I don't. And I think sometimes I'm too passive. I should probably put my foot down in most circumstances, but I don't. I'm still working on it. I think I'm so passive because I don't know, nature is pretty passive. Like, yeah, there's parts of nature that can seem volatile, but overall, everything in nature is playing a particular role, playing a particular part, and it's completely passive. I feel like it's just kind of like doing what it's supposed to, irregardless of how we think it should be. I think if you want to learn, you want to like understand, observe nature. And I think that's why we spend so much time in nature, because it's the greatest teacher. It shows you, patience. And I don't know, I can totally go on a tangent here, but I don't want to. I think I've made my point, and If you've learned something, cool. If you didn't learn anything, that's cool too. Blessings to one and all. And it's like drizzling outside, not even heavy rain. Whatever. It really agitates me. I was telling my partner, it agitates me when, I guess, I don't know if it's because people are ignorantly accepting something that does not have like any solid, concrete, rational basis. But yeah, like yesterday, I had at least like every person, that's all they wanted to talk about was a hurricane. Understandable. Not really. Like, talk about something else. Like, talk about, and if you're going to talk about it, talk about how, like, no matter what, it's going to be okay. You know, not like, oh my God, did you get water? Did you get like canned goods? Did you get lights? What happens if the lights goes out? What happens if this? What happens if just like super frantic? Like that's how most of the conversation started off. And by the 10th person, I was highly annoyed. And I'm sorry, but I'm not. I'm annoyed because people are just like freaking out, not thinking logically, using their energy to like create more fear than hope or to uplift someone. And you know, like after the 10th, 20th person, I was just like, okay, this is like just like a looping kind of thing, and I'm tired of hearing it. It's like the same message from different people. And they've all just kind of like agreed to believe whatever they've been told, and they're not receptive to seeing it differently, which is my dialogue, and because my mind is wired differently, and it's like talking to a wall, but in different faces, in different places, and I'm just like, oh my. Like I even tried telling people like I'm not too worried about it. I think it'll be fine. And then they would just kind of overpower me with their ignorance and well, but you know this could happen, this could happen. I can't believe you're not doing anything. And I'm like, you know, that's cool that you want to be prepared. If that gives you peace of mind, that's great. But for me personally, I'm not too worried about it. I think it'll be fine. I don't know. I'm sorry. Thank you for listening to me. I actually make these videos for me. But thank you for watching, irregardless if you are watching. And have a beautiful day. Amen.